this MLK-Inspired yoga class today. Originally, I was just going to make a post on social media and put some really amazing quotes from MLK on my Facebook page. And then I was like, why not just dedicate a whole entire yoga class to MLK and the wonderful, amazing things he did during his lifetime here? And so, throughout this class, I just want you to take the time to be reflective of Mr. MLK and all the things that he did and accomplished, and how he impacted our world the way he did, and what social justice looked like to him, and what social activism looked like to him. And let that inspire you in your own search for social justice and social activism. And so, just thank you for joining me today, and let's get started. So, as we get started, go ahead and get into a nice seated position, or a position that is preferably comfortable for you. I like to put a block, if you have one, or a nice sturdy book under your bottom, and that will allow you to sit more comfortably. And so, we're just going to go ahead and take some nice, big, deep breaths here and just be present for the next couple of moments. Don't worry about the past, don't worry about the future, but just allow yourself to feel the sensations of your breath as you inhale and as you exhale. And it's okay to have different thoughts pop up and different feelings show up as you try to be still and be quiet in your mind. But just see those thoughts as literally entering and exiting. Don't give them much attention or much thought, and just bring your mind back to the present moment of your breath. And as you know, this is a Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. inspired yoga class. And I think it would be appropriate to tell you guys about one of my favorite quotes from him, which is, "An individual has not started living until he can rise above the narrow confines of his individualistic concerns to the broader concerns of all humanity." And wow, how deep that particular quote from him is, and how valid in this time in our world it is. And I want you to slowly become aware of your surroundings, opening your eyes if they were closed, moving your fingers. And we're just going to go into a couple different neck stretches. We gotta give our shoulders some love too, because we hold a lot of tension and stress in our shoulders as well as our neck. And we can go ahead and come out of this nice seated position. Move your block if you had one. And let's go ahead and go into a tabletop position with our knees on the ground and our hands, palms facing flat on our mat. And draw your back up like a Halloween cat and then down. And we're going to repeat this movement, getting some nice opening of the chest and the lower back. And what you want to try to do is exhale as you round your back up and inhale as you bring your back down. Sounds a little counterintuitive, but you'll get the hang of it. Now let's get ready to move into a child's pose by bringing our arms straight out in front of us and resting our hips back on our heels. And take the time to relax here. And take the time to check in with your body now and ensure you are relaxing in this moment. Are you clenching your jaws? Let go of the tension in your face. Let go of any tension that you may be holding in your body. And more great words from Mr. MLK is love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. And how true that is, how profound of a thought that is. And let's go ahead and slowly prepare to come out of that child's pose as we go into our tabletop position on our hands and feet and prepare to come into a melting heart position by stretching our arms right out in front of us, but keeping those hips lifted and knees deep into our mat. And we're just gonna rest in this pose for a while. And at any point this becomes uncomfortable to you, you can definitely drop back down into that child's pose if you need to. And as I reflect on another one of my favorite MLK quotes, he who is devoid of the power to forgive is devoid of the power to love. Man, how profound that is, because how many of us are hindering ourselves to fully love because we're not willing to fully forgive? And a lot of us don't even make the connection between our inability to forgive and our ability to fully and truly love. Now, as we prepare to come out of this pose, we'll drop the hips down and rest a couple seconds in child's pose. Give yourself some time to get acclimated to your area, and let's go back to that tabletop position And then let's go into a Sphinx pose. So hips are planted into the ground, palms are planted into the ground, and shoulders are open. And this should feel like a good chest opening posture. And let's slowly go ahead and bring the head down to the ground and relax the shoulders and take a nice little break here for a moment. Now let's push back up into that tabletop position. And now let's go into a little bit of a thunderbolt position with our knees into the ground. And bending back a little bit into a camel position. This is actually more of a modified camel position as we have our palms planted into the ground with our fingers pointed towards the back of our mat. And we really have a nice chest opener here. You can bring the knees in closer, further away, whatever's comfortable for you. And let's slowly come out of this position, bringing our head to face forward. Back to that tabletop position as we get ready to push up into a downward facing dog. And you can bend the knees a little bit if you need to. And you can walk your dog out by moving your knees in and out, bringing the heels off the ground. I'm gonna take us through like a little portion of a sun salutation, and let's walk our feet up to the front of our mat and come into a nice forward fold. And just rest here. And then take a nice big exhale and go into a halfway fold. And back down to that forward fold and stepping back into a high plank position. And you can go into a modified plank by bringing your knees to the ground if you need to. And then let's go down to the ground and push our chest up into either an upward facing dog or a modified cobra. And then back into our child's pose for a couple breaths. And that was just a little bit of a modified sun salutation for you. Now, let's go back into a tabletop position, and then let's go on and sit on our bottoms and bring our back to the ground for a knees to chest position. And we're just hugging the knees. If you want to rock side to side, if that feels good, you can do that, or backwards and forwards, or you can just hold this pose in a still. And we know that real social change happens when we all do our part, when we're willing to listen to people who have differing opinions, when we're willing to think about what's truly important for all of humanity and not just ourselves, but also our neighbors and the people around us. And let's slowly come out of this pose, bringing our knees forward and our feet flat on the ground, hands flat beside us, and let's push up into a bridge pose. Taking a couple breaths here. And bring your hips back down. And let's go ahead and come to that seated position and raise up. And let's go into a nice little forward fold. Reach in for our ankles, maybe even the toes. And if you need to bend your knees a little bit, please feel free to. And really get grounded in this forward fold. And let's slowly come out of this forward fold, raising our heads, letting go of our feet. And let's prepare to go into our last pose, which is Shavasana, corpse pose, by laying flat on our back and having our hands facing up and just allowing ourselves to rest in this pose. Inviting quietness, inviting stillness in this moment. And now let's slowly bring awareness back to our surroundings, maybe moving our toes, moving our fingers, opening our eyes if they were closed. Let's slowly bend our knees and roll over to either your right or left side as you get acclimated to coming back to a seated position. And as you come back into a seated position, whatever is comfortable for you, as we get ready to end this class, I want to leave you with one more quote from Mr. MLK, and that is that I have decided to stick with love because hate is too great a burden to bear. And as you take one big inhale and exhale, may peace be with you today.